Ark is a gamer who wastes his life playing games. The manga had zero info on his past life, which I think tells us all we need to know. What we do know about him is that he made his avatar of skeleton in the game he's playing. As he was checking out his skills, he saw his reflection in the river. Only then he realized that he actually was a skeleton like the avatar he created. It took a while for him to recover from the initial shock, but when he did, he found that even as a skeleton, he was starving with hunger. So he walked to the nearest town, registered at the guild, got a license and started to build a life for himself. One day, while out hunting, he comes across a group of bandits attacking the caravan of a young noble. The bandits had eliminated all her guards and are about to abuse her, when he uses his teleportation power and quickly deletes the head bandit and with one swing of his sword excommunicates the other three. The rest of the bandits try to run away, but he cleverly uses a long-range attack to eliminate them too. Despite being an overpowered hero, Ark does not want to reveal himself to the world as it could put him in danger. He realizes that it's best to keep a low profile, and as his first quest, he offers to act as a guard for a girl as she journeys to the forest to collect herbs. The girl is at first surprised by her rather large and imposing escort, but soon they become comfortable with each other and she leads him through the forest, teaching him all her plant knowledge. As they travel together, Ark notices an injured nine-tailed fox pup hiding in the bushes. The pup comes across as quite aggressive and initially tries to run away, but our hero catches her and heals her injury using his magical skills, and the pup decides to become his pet. He names her Panta. They reach the deepest part of the forest, and from a cliff see a single white cherry blossom tree in full bloom. So pretty. The young girl runs down to collect its flowers, unaware of the danger she's in. Ark and Panta notice a monster, a six-legged giant reptile named Toadzilla. Well, that's a unique name. Anyway, the girl stands before it helpless and afraid. Quickly, Ark activates his short-range teleportation skill called Dimension Walk to save her. In retaliation, Toadzilla uses Poison Breath attack and Ark teleports away again. Using his tactical skills, he decides that it will be best to face the beast in close combat. He blocks Toadzilla's claw attacks, but then it uses its long tongue, wet and nasty. Ark keeps dodging its attacks. This frustrates Toadzilla, who charges at him using its ultimate attack, called Petrified Wave. This attack turns all living things within range to stone. Ark uses his Holy Shield as defense. This nullifies any effects to save himself and the girl. A furious Toadzilla begins to use its many arms to engage in giant lizard arm to skeleton arm combat, pressing the knight back. Quickly, Ark initiates a high-level skill called Judgment to end it, and this creates a magical circle under the reptile. Ark summons a giant lightning sword from the magic circle, ending the battle and Toadzilla in just one hit. The girl jumps for joy and celebrates their win and says more people should know of Ark who saved her life and defeated the monster. But Ark wants to keep it in the down low, and he asks her to never mention it again. He does notice some weird red and black ring around Toadzilla's ankle, which shatters and disappears as the beast expires. On their journey back, Ark sees a giant boar and hunts it down. He then takes the boar to the village and gives its leather to the girl, and the meat is to be shared amongst the villagers. Just by doing that single act of kindness was enough for him to be declared a local hero, and as he leaves the village, the girl's little sister crowns him with a crown made of flowers. Ark returns to his room at the inn and looks at his flower crown and gets all warm and fuzzy as he realizes that there is more to life than keeping his identity a secret. He vows to work harder from now on to help all those who need him. Ark starts on a new quest of hunting baddies after his first life-changing quest and chases down a group of thieves and kidnappers to their hideout. After taking them down, he also lays claims to their treasure stash. He finds two open cages with food bowls in front of them, which confuses him, but he decides to mind the business that pays him and not get involved. As he emerges from the bandits' cave with his gold booty, a hooded girl launches a surprise attack on him. He quietly wonders if the attacker is another bandit, but her sword skills are on another level, and she's almost as fast as he is. While fighting, Ark notices that she has pointed ears and then remembers that she is the elf girl he saw in the market a few days ago. The elf, Ariane, is a warrior who has vowed to protect her people and to rescue the elf children that evil humans have kidnapped, and she mistakes Ark as being a bad guy too. She curses him, and as he attempts to explain the situation, she does not take the time to listen. Suddenly, Panta's head pops up, and the elf warrior drops her guard enough to ask him why a spirit creature would ever associate with a bandit. The elf warrior then tells him that the pup was one of the few spirit creatures known to be super cautious and would never associate with terrible people. Meaning if the pup was so close to him, it implies he is a reputable person of good character, and Ariane apologizes to him. She also tells him that some bandits are kidnapping elves to sell them as slaves, and Ark puts two and two together and understands what the cages with the food bowls inside the cave were for. She goes to check the cave and he tells her it's empty. He offers to help her on her quest to save her people, but she tells him to mind his business and leaves without further ado. However, Ark, being the gamer that he is, does not plan on giving up, as he knows this side quest of helping a beautiful elfin may just recruit her into joining his gaming party. The next day, he jumps into action by using his dimension walk to teleport himself into the deepest, darkest part of the forest where he has been told the elves live. Suddenly, he hears the sound of men talking. A group of bandits were trying to kidnap some elf children. The leader of this gang was a sadistic psycho named Udalin. They had captured about 4 young elves, and when one of those baby elves gave Udalin some bombastic side-eye, he couldn't take it and decided to torture her, make her beg, and then slice and dice her. Ark saw it all, and their behavior infuriated him. That bandits could treat these young elves as less than human was beyond the pale for him. Just as he was about to rescue the children, Ariane the elfin jumped up out of nowhere and suddenly attacks the elf baby traffickers, deleting 2 of them in one simple strike. One of the traffickers tells Udalin that she is a dark elf, and if they catch her, she would probably fetch a high price at the slave market, so he orders his men to capture her. They approach her with devilish smiles on their faces, but she fears no man and starts hacking and slashing her way through them all. She defeats most of the baddies when Udalin shouts that she dare not take another step if she wants the children to remain alive. She looks over and sees him holding the elf children hostage. Ariane could only curse him, as she dared not incite him to harm them, and she stood helpless as the remaining bandits started to assault her. Ark suddenly springs into action and appears behind Udalin, grabbing him and slamming him into a tree. Ariane is free to attack, and she eliminates the rest of the bandits. Filled with rage, she tries to free the children, but the cage is locked. Ark offers to help, but she arrogantly rejects his offer. He reminds her that the safety of children is much more important than this just being an elf problem, and he snaps the lock to the cage with his bare hands. The children fear him and run to Ariane for comfort. She notices that they were forced to wear mana-eating collars to stop them from using their spirit magic. Ariane realizes this is why no one could escape. To make things worse, she is unable to break the collar. Ark uses his anti-curse magic and takes the collar off the injured elf girl, simultaneously healing her. Ariane is shocked, and she quickly realizes that no ordinary knight could have such a wide range of skills or powers. While she contemplates the situation, Ark frees all the children and they treat him kindly, no longer fearing him. The elf girl summons her messenger bird called the Whispering Fowl, who acts as a messenger pigeon and voice recorder all in one, and sends a message about the rescued children, asking for an escort to return them to the village. Soon 2 elven guards arrive and they take the children home. Ark tells them that if they are ever in trouble again, that he will not hesitate to help them. Ariane calls him a weirdo, but doesn't mean it in a rude way. She says that he was the first respectable human she has met who did not discriminate against the elves, plus the fact that he could use so many types of magic, including the legendary teleportation magic, is very impressive. They both introduce themselves properly, and the elf thanks him for helping her and saving the children. Then a different voicemail bird arrives and Ark is stunned to hear it speak. The voicemail is from another elf who informs Ariane that he has found the location of other kidnapped children, and he asks her to join him in the city to help with the rescue mission. She decides to ask Ark if she could hire him as a soldier. She says she has never trusted any humans before, but she would take a chance with him, and Ark quickly accepts the offer. He uses his long-range teleportation spell to move them to a cliff, and the elf thinks this ability will definitely help their mission. From there, they walk to the city and wait in a dark alley for the elf named Danka, who had called them. Danka is a serious man with intimidating eyes and a soft voice. His cold gaze scares Ark. As Ariane introduces them, Danka doesn't pay him any attention. He feels left out. They head to a restaurant to discuss their plan, where Ark learns that both the elves' last name is Maple, which is also the name of their town in the Canadian forest. Ariane offers him food, but he declines the offer as he is afraid that upon seeing his skeletal face, that they would immediately attack him. Danka doesn't waste his time making small talk with Ark. He focuses on the food, thinking he's Gordon Ramsay, and only when he spots Ponta does he trust the knight a tiny bit more. He informs them that he has found the children's location and the plan is to make their move that night. Since they have to wait a while till it gets dark, Ark tells them he will return later. He then cashes in his gold booty that he confiscated from the bandits, and before returning to the elves he decides to grab a bite to eat. He buys a wide selection of his favorite foods and sits on a dirty street, happily munching away, enjoying his meal in peace. At dusk, the group reaches the location. Unfortunately, they have not noticed that they are being followed by a ninja. They spot some guards at the front gate, and Ariane asks Ark to teleport them to the windows on the first floor. He uses his dimension walk ability, and Ariane says that they will sneak in through the window. She tries to squeeze herself through the tight space, and she wishes that she was as flat as her butt is, but now she's stuck. Ark and Danka wisely teleport inside using Dimension Walk, leaving her quite embarrassed. They silently head down the hall and open a door to a room filled with bodies of people who had been recently assassinated. That's suspicious. Someone else was inside the building doing their job for them. The group decides to split up and search for the elves separately. Ark uses Dimension Walk and peeks through keyholes so that he can teleport inside. While doing this, he finds another room full of corpses, and then suddenly ninja knives whisk past his head. He quickly deflects, and a tiny ninja attacks him with fast footwork and faster strikes, but he blocks all their attacks. Ark is amazed to see a ninja, and to make things even weirder, she has cat ears and a tail, and he thanks his luck for this day. Furry lovers assemble. The cat ninja is shocked to hear that the knight knows of their existence, and when Ponta pops into view, she apologizes for attacking someone a spirit creature has befriended. She guesses correctly that Ark was there to find the kidnapped elves and informs him that they are in the basement. She gives him some documents containing helpful info. She also informs him that she was on her own mission but could not complete it, so she deletes some more baddies and then heads on her merry way. Before leaving, she lets Ark know that there were 2 elves in the Lord's mansion too, and then disappears over the roofs. Ark acknowledges that having Ponta by his side is the best thing that could have happened to him. He then opens the documents and is shocked to find that they are contracts to buy elves. He shows them to his elven companions, and they are just as surprised to learn that Lord Dinto, the noble ruler of this region, was the head elven trafficker. Ark tells them all the ninja told him, but keeps her identity a secret and instead says that he interrogated someone for the info. The group decide to sneak into the basement when they are suddenly surrounded by baddies and have no choice but to fight their way out of the madness. Ariane uses her special power move, called Fireblade, and turns the baddies into hot coals in one simple attack. With that, they rush to the basement where scared elf girls are hiding and filled with fear as they hear the explosions and commotion outside. Ark and his elf comrades enter, and he frees the prisoners by bending the prison gates as if he was a metal bender. He quickly teleports everyone to a safe distance in a nearby forest. Ark uses his magic to remove the mana-eating collars from the elfin girls, and they get teary-eyed as they thank him graciously. Danka finally starts to trust him and suggests that Ark and Ariane rescuing the 2 remaining elves, while he takes the girls back to the village. With the Lord's mansion in sight, Ark uses Dimension Move to teleport Ariane and himself. She asks him to go to the highest point as the Lord must have his room there in the penthouse, but as soon as they land they are spotted by guards who demand they stop and surrender. Ark uses his ability called Wyvern Slash to break the warning bell in the tower, which crashes down, causing much chaos and destruction, which kinda ruins their plans of silently sneaking in. The guards panic and run around like chickens without heads, desperate to find the intruders, but Ark manages to hide among the knight's statues and they cannot find him. His servant runs to inform Lord Dinto, Eudelin's dad, who was about to take advantage of the helpless elves while his son watched. Sickos. The servant tells him that 2 monsters have invaded the mansion, and that's the last words he'll ever say as the door behind him is blasted open by Ark and Ariane, who make their dramatic entry into the perverted devil's lair. Eudelin freaks out upon seeing them again as Lord Dinto steps forward to confront the intruders. Ariane kicks him right in his sweet spot as she saves the terrified girls. Meanwhile, Ark slams Eudelin into a wall, which frightens him so much that he goes night-night. Somehow, our hero unlocks a hidden room by breaking through the wall. He tells Ariane to come take a look, but Ariane is a little preoccupied with constantly kicking Lord Dinto in his sweet spot over and over and over. She justifies her actions by telling Ark about the peace treaty between humans and elves, and if Lord Dinto had the balls to break it, then she had the right to break his balls. She even calls the 2 elf girls to join her in working through their trauma by using the physical action of exposure therapy. Exposing Lord Dinto to violence, you get imbaves. Some soldiers foolishly attempt to rescue their lord. Ark asks Ariane to keep them busy while he checks out the hidden room. She uses her flame sword technique, eliminates all the soldiers and tells the elf girls to flee to safety. She then goes to the hidden room to find Ark collecting as many gold bricks as he could carry. Just before she starts to lecture him that stealing is bad, he informs her that it takes a lot of money to run a trafficking organization, and if the humans were to try and restart their exploitative behavior, they won't be able to do it as fast with limited or zero funds. Ariane agrees and even compliments his tactical thinking. Suddenly, explosions rock the mansion and Ark and Ariane quickly make their exit with heaps of gold as the building crashes down around them. Neither of them planted any explosive devices, so Ark assumes that the Beast Ninja helped them out. The mission with Ariane is completed successfully, and she offers him more money, but it's nothing compared to the treasure he just stole. But Ark does not hesitate to take another dollar even though he already has millions in gold. She also offers him the opportunity to accompany her to the land of elves. Many of their people still suffered greatly at the hands of evil men, and she could use his help and abilities to save them. Ark would love to join her and continue to live a life full of fantasy and action, but he is unsure if the elves would accept him as he is an outsider. Ariane responds that she will ask permission from the elders, but Ark, still wary, tells her that he cannot remove his armor even if they were to ask him. She demands to know why, confused. Ark responds that he's afraid she'll think him a monster. She gives her word that after all he has done, she would never even consider it, and with that he reveals to her that he is a skeleton. Ariane is surprised Pikachu and can't help but ask what happened to his face. Ark doesn't want to tell her that he is a kid from another world and is actually a neckbeard loser who games all day. So all he says is that he woke up like this just like Beyonce. He does tell her the backstory of his game character. Supposedly, he is a holy knight who got cursed and now has to travel the land to find a cure. Ariane is shocked, but she's sure that Ark isn't a zombie as his spirit would have corrupted, and he would not be capable of using healing or light magic. Also, Ponta wouldn't trust him as she does. Also, judging by his past behavior and good character, Ariane says that she will accept him as he is. The elves will keep his secret. Their elders may even have some answers as to how to resolve his curse. Ark accepts her offer, and they agree to travel together. She takes him to her hometown through the deepest, darkest, densest forests. Ark gets too excited and tries to use his ability, Dimensional Walk, and falls down a cliff near a river. They decide to make camp there, and Ariane sends a voicemail bird to alert her people that she is on her way back and has a guest with her. They are both hungry by now, so Ark goes hunting. Upon his return, he finds the stoic elf warrior cuddled up with Ponta, and he teases her. A few days later, they arrive at their destination and stop to marvel at an ancient iron gate. Ark can only stare. Ariane commands the gate to open, and Ark is impressed by the magic of this massive iron gate being lifted. She goes ahead and warns him to wait until she has the elders' permission for him to enter. Ark inspects the tall wooden fence built around the town and thinks that since elves are ancient beings, it must also be pretty ancient. Ariane is gone for quite a while, so Ark plays with Ponta, practices his sword skills, exercises a bit, and even manages to get some sleep in before we see her return. Thankfully, she has permission for him to enter and calls him in. Ark sees that although the elf town looks like a farming village, it has designer futuristic giant pod-like houses. In the town center is an enormous tree which houses the town elder Delian and his wife Glenys. They give a warm welcome and express their gratitude towards him for his protection of their oldest child. Ark is left stunned. He had no idea that Ariane was the elder elf's daughter. Her mom Glenys teases that she may have said she's 170 years old when in fact she was over 240 years. This annoys Ariane. Ark is shocked to realize that elves really do live amazingly long lives, as she does not look a day older than 25. The elders thank Ark for helping the enslaved elves, but then turns to his daughter and asks why she dared to attack a noble's home when their mission was to save their kidnapped kin. She hesitates to answer. Luckily, Ark intervenes and explains the situation while having drinks. Elder Delian says that he will report all the human shenanigans to the rest of the elf elders tomorrow at their convention, and will also show them the sale contracts made for elf slaves that Ark acquired. Once they conclude their discussion, Glenys brings several plates of delicious food to the table, and everyone starts to eat. Ark is hesitant on what to do. Ariane reassures him, and her father Delian adds that he knows all about Ark's condition, and that his family would keep his secret. Ark appreciates their kindness, takes off his helmet, and for the first time in weeks he enjoys a meal in the company of others. The next day he awakes in a comfy bed without his armor, butt naked, well-boned naked, with Ponta happily snoozing away in his ribcage. As Ark heads outside, he learns that Delian and Ariane have already left to attend the convention. Just behind their home was the teleportation circle to the elven capital. It looked like a giant wooden stump with a magic crystal on the side, and several elf wizards are needed to teleport someone. Delian and Ariane arrive in the capital city, which is bustling with activity, and they head straight to the main headquarters where all the other elders are gathered. The elected chief asks Delian what information he had concerning the recent kidnappings, and he gives him a detailed report. The elders are horrified at what they learn the humans are up to, and think it's time to go to war, as they had to do 600 years ago. Unfortunately, no humans remembered the war, as what was just one generation for elves was 6 centuries for them. After the last war, elves and humans signed a treaty never to harm each other again, and now humans have broken it, as we humans do. But this decision cannot be rushed. One of the elders suggests sending a grievance to the rodent kingdom, with whom they had originally made the pact, but the warrior elder responds by saying why should they explain themselves to mere humans? On top of that, they may use legal loopholes to charge those who are saving the trafficked children and also arrest them for burning down the noble's house. The chief elder agrees and orders the rescue operations be continued but with increased caution, and to keep a closer eye on the activities of humans. Ariane and her dad return from the meeting. She is saddened that her reckless actions have complicated their position, but her father assures her that she did the right thing. Soon they move on to other topics of conversation, and Ariane learns that her aggressive, argumentative sister will marry soon. This greatly surprises her as she cannot picture her sister with a man. Suddenly, Evelyn, the sister she was chatting about, tackles her to the ground, then cuddles her. Evelyn lets Ariane know how proud she is of her sis for saving so many elves. Although her sister's praise does not make her feel any better, Evelyn is one of the best warrior elves, and Ariane has always felt inferior when comparing herself to her. Doesn't she know comparison is the thief of joy? So she changes the topic, and the sisters gossip about her upcoming marriage, and Evelyn asks Ariane if she has her eye on someone. She answers in the negative, but then immediately starts to blush as she thinks about Ark, and her sister teases her that if she ever were to marry, her husband would need to be much stronger than her. In other words, a Giga Chad. Ariane replies in that case she'll probably never marry, and Evelyn laughs loudly. Ark takes a tour of the village, and everyone is suspicious of this statuesque stranger. Only the girls he saved are kind and friendly towards him. Glenys asks him if he'd like to spar with her. They face each other with wooden swords, and Ark wonders if this simple housewife will be any kind of match for him. But she confidently replies that she taught Ariane her sword skills, and she too is a dark elf who is blessed with incredible physical abilities. She also feels that she has to put him to the test and see if he really was capable of being her daughter's companion and protector. Ark accepts, and they get to sparring with Glenys jumping into attack mode. She overwhelms Ark with her fast moves first while facing him, and then suddenly appears behind him to trip him over. He falls, and as she points her blade towards him, she says that he moves like an amateur, and she starts educating him on how to improve. Ding, ding, ding. Round 2. And Ark's eyes light up at the opportunity to learn some actual combat skills from a true master. The happy, harmless-looking housewife bests him over and over again, but in the most humbling way. Yet he still gets up and faces her bravely. After many failures, he thinks he may have found a way to surprise her using his ability, Dimension Walk, and even though he corners her, she quickly takes him down, making it look embarrassingly easy. And yet, while being so skilled and overpowered, she still thinks like a wife and mother and starts worrying about what to cook for dinner. What a great mom! So she leaves Ark lying in the dust, and he starts to realize that high stats are not everything in this world, and real battle experience is truly valuable. Once home, Ark learns that the elves have bathing facilities in their home, and he really wants to partake. He takes Ponta along, scrubs her up nicely, and then takes a lovely dip himself in the hot water for a bone-quaking experience. Since baths were quite rare and almost a luxury in this world, this was his first time having one, and it made him feel fantastic. While relaxing in the bath with Ponta, the exhausted Ariane returns home and heads straight into the bathroom without confirming if the coast is clear. But naked she enters and is petrified to see a skeleton in her bathtub, and does not stop to listen as Ark tries to explain and just blasts him away using her power move. Later at the dinner table, both are embarrassed at the unexpected nude experience, although Ark has nothing to fear as he has literally nothing to show. Poor bony boy. Dillion enters and starts telling Ark what the elders had decided. They wanted to hire him to assist and protect Ariane in her rescue efforts to help the remaining kidnapped elves. Also, as they could not afford to pay someone as rich as him, they decided to trade instead and offer some precious information that could help him break the skeleton curse. Dillion informs him that there is a specific hot spring near the Lord's Crown that was said to free all those afflicted by curses who bathed in it. Ark questions what and where the Lord's Crown was, and the elf tells a long tale of the many types of dragons in their world, and that the strongest dragons were called dragon lords. The Lord's Crown was a rare type of enormous tree that grew wherever a dragon lord made its home. Large varieties of spirits lived in and around it, giving its leaves and fruits miraculous healing abilities. But it was also a dangerous place, as anyone who disturbed or harmed the spirits would awaken the rage of the dragon lord. Ariane says that entering the Lord's Crown is too dangerous for humans, but elves can get permission from the spirits to enter it, and they can arrange the same for Ark. Dillion wonders if the information would qualify as payment, and Ark replies that it is more than sufficient. But later that night, as he lies in bed, he wonders if he was even cursed at all. The story he has been telling everyone was just random character information from his role-playing game. It makes him wonder if it was really true. He considers that if he truly is cursed, then he could purify himself using his own anti-curse spell, which was super effective against mid-rank curses too. He knew some pretty powerful spells too, but they damage undead beings, and he did not want to take any risks of permanently harming himself. Yet Ark does decide to try out an anti-curse spell on his hand, and surprisingly the spell works and his hand regrows its flesh. He is shocked and shouts joyfully, but the effect vanishes after a few seconds and his hand returns to bone. Ark keeps casting the spell all night long and having the same unfortunate result. Early the following day, he and Ariane set out for the capital of the rodent kingdom to track down the people whose names were written in the elf selling contracts. His thoughts keep returning to the night before and his confirmation that he truly was cursed, with a curse so powerful that it kept returning no matter how often he purified himself. Upon leaving the woods, Ark is attacked by giant dragonfly-looking monsters that live by a lake, and he runs away screaming. Ariane saves him and takes him to dinner where they discuss their mission. She informs him that they usually take a carriage around the forest to reach the capital, but they should cross through the forest to get there faster. A waitress who is eavesdropping warns them not to go through the forest as it is too dangerous due to a pack of monsters called haunted wolves. These wolves had appeared in the area quite recently, and they were attacking people left and right, but the soldiers had done nothing to stop the attacks. Ariane's mind wanders when she hears about the haunted wolves, but she tells the nosy waitress to mind your business, lady, and off they go through the forest. Ark asks her why learning about the haunted wolves has affected her. She tells him that in elven tradition the tail fur of haunted wolves was used in bridal veils, and it was considered the most auspicious gift one could give a bride-to-be. And of course her sister's wedding is nearing, so she really wants to gift it to her. The wolves also seem to be eavesdropping, and were all too eager to have their tails chopped off as they suddenly attack them from all sides. Ark slashes one but quickly realizes that the wolves are an illusion, and even though they attack him from all sides, it is impossible to tell if they are real. Illusion or not, their bites feel all too real. He is overwhelmed by their sheer number, and then he remembers that haunted wolves are intelligent creatures who always attack in packs. Their common maneuver to fight more aggressive or powerful enemies was to use illusionary clones guided by their ultra-intelligent alpha, who without fail would lead them to victory. While Ark is struggling, Ariane is in total control of the situation. A bunch of wolves attack her, and she expertly uses a fireball to shoot an illusion down, and as they jump on her to try and subdue her, she uses her Earth Spikes ability, impaling a real wolf along with several illusions. Ark is reminded that he has little to no battle experience despite having such high stats. Luckily for him, the wolves that keep biting him don't even make a dent in his armor, and as he cannot fight like Ariane, he decides to find the Alpha to end the battle quickly. As tactical-minded as ever Ark, the Alpha watches them from up high on a cliff. Ark uses Dimension Walk to sneak behind him, and he attacks the Alpha Wolf, who jumps up speedily to avoid his attack. Ark sees the same black and red ring around the Alpha's leg as the one he saw on Toadzilla. Something fishy is going on. He decides to test out a theory by standing completely still and allowing the Alpha to attack him from behind. As soon as the wolf does, Ark uses a fire attack through his cloak and quickly swings his sword to slash the ring on the wolf's leg. The Alpha returns to his senses as soon as the ring is destroyed. He howls and summons his pack and they rush away. Ariane climbs the cliff to see just what is happening and arrives in time to see the ring disappear. She is dumbfounded, but Ark seems to know what's going on. He tells her about Toadzilla, who had the same ring around its ankle. The monsters were coming to areas they did not belong in and attacking innocent people because of those rings. As interesting as that may be, Ariane asks Ark to wait on her as she collects the tail fur from the slain wolves for her sister's gift. As Ark awaits Ariane, who's busy skinning the wolves, Ponta becomes alert and dashes off. Ark quickly follows, shouting to Ariane to wait for them as he chases after the fox pup darting through the forest. A carriage passes through the road around the forest, and inside sits the princess of Rodent Kingdom, Uriana, who is on a diplomatic mission to meet the elf elders about the recent kidnappings. She seems to be under the impression that her older brother Deckers was involved in the kidnapping and enslavement of the elves, and that the Eastern Holy Empire was backing him in his villainous endeavors. On the other hand, her eldest brother Zekt was ambitious enough to commit any deed in order to assure his path to the throne, and he was being supported by the Western Empire. With the two brothers fighting for power and getting more relentless with each passing day, the princess rightfully worries about her safety and hopes for the best. She should have knocked on wood, cause the second those worried thoughts leave her mouth, her carriage is attacked by several bloodthirsty assassins. Inside the carriage, her maid does her best to try and protect the princess, but when it abruptly comes to a halt, they realize that all their guards have been deleted and that the assassins have them surrounded. One of the baddies opens the door and the courageous maid tries to protect the princess by leaping at the attacker with a dagger in her hand, but he slashes her and in the blink of an eye ends her. Uriana panics and rushes to check on her loyal servant, and without wasting his chance, the attacker pokes her through the heart and it's game over for the princess. One of the soldiers escorting her was a part of the plot to excommunicate her, and he tells the other assassins to rob the corpses and make it look as if highway bandits were behind the attack. As they laugh and contemplate the wealth this mission has earned them, Ponta springs onto the face of one of the soldiers, and he wonders what the furious, fuzzy, super cute creature is. He decides just to delete it, but an awfully intimidating and angry Ark appears behind him and grips the soldier's hand so tightly that the sound of his cracking bones can be heard throughout the forest. "Dan's son, you messed up." Ark throws the soldier as if he is a bag of rice and kneels beside the excommunicated girl. He assumes that she is the daughter of a wealthy family, judging by her dress and her escort. The assassins, for their part, also make an assumption. They assume that he must have seen them delete the princess and her guards. As they cannot leave any witnesses, they attack him with fire and stone-bending powers, but their attacks don't even leave a scratch. He wonders if he should resuscitate the girl who has already passed on by using his insane skills to revive her. Lazarus' ability activate. In a game, this would be seen as a good deed, and he would likely be rewarded for his helpful action. But he is unsure about raising a deleted person back to life. Back to the now, Ark only notices his attackers once they stop attacking him. He turns to see the assassins screaming and running for their lives now as haunted wolves decide to chow down. The alpha wolf is back for some revenge on the evil humans and to thank Ark for saving him from the mind control spell. Ark decides to join the wolves in eliminating these garbage humans. Some assassins do escape, but the rest are eliminated and the alpha wolf leaves with his pack soon after. Now that he was alone with just corpses for company, Ark decides to use his super high-level ability called Regeneration. It works, and the excommunicated princess is brought back to life. Ark is glad that his skill works and that he didn't turn Uriana into a zombie. He has Ponta watch over the girl to protect her as he helps the rest of the deleted servants. He is able to regenerate the loyal maid and some of the soldiers with that same skill, but one of them is completely wrecked up to the point that the skill is useless for him. Ark tries his best to heal as many as he can. The bright light of his regeneration skill fills the grassy forest area. The princess opens her eyes and wonders if the man bathed in light standing above her is an angel sent by God. She quickly faints again. After a while, she wakes up again when the crying maid shakes her and explains that they all seem to be alive and unharmed. Unfortunately, some of the soldiers had passed on, but the rest were brought back to life again. The princess seems sure that they were not just injured, as the extremely blood-soaked and cut-up clothing is proof enough that she was the victim of a vicious life-ending attack, but an angel sent by God saved them. She assembles her remaining soldiers and glows in the forest light as she gives them a motivating speech on how someone had plotted on eliminating her, but by God's grace, a miracle had saved them. This was a signal of the divine that they are destined to be successful in their diplomatic mission. She encourages the soldiers with her motivating and inspirational words, noting that nothing can stop them now. Ark is watching all this unfold from behind some bushes, and he deduces that the noble girl is a princess. Walking back, he wonders if he made the wrong choice by reviving her, yet he is also assured that this will be a pivotal turning point. He catches up to Ariane and sees that she has completed her task and has collected more than enough of the precious fur for her sister's wedding veil. She asks what kept him occupied, but he says it was nothing of importance. They resume their journey and in a short time reach the capital city's market. Out of nowhere, a man crashes into Ark, and he turns to find that many men have surrounded a child. As they attempt to attack her, she pokes her fingers in one's eyes and taunts the rest to come on her all at once. Ark wants to help the small girl, but Ariane says for him to open his eyes as there is no need. She, of course, is right on the money as the young girl blasts the men high into the sky, turning their bodies into miniature windmills quick as can be. Impressive. Ark is astounded, but when the girl catches his eye, it seems to scare him, and he wonders if she'll attack them. Silly Ark, so big and powerful as can be yet afraid of a little girl. No need to fear, she kindly greets them and comments that it's good to see him again. Ark realizes that she is the beast girl ninja he met while rescuing the elves earlier in Dinto. The ninja girl tells Ark that he did an amazing job saving those poor elves and that she had something of importance to discuss with him later. Ariane wonders who the girl is and how on earth she knew about their rescue mission. Ark comes clean and admits that she was the one who actually gave him all the info about the kidnapped elves' location in Dinto. She introduces herself as Chiom of the Jinxon clan and lets them know that she is one of the top ninjas in her hidden village. To continue their conversation further, the group rent a room. Formal introductions are made and Chiom gets straight to business, asking Ark why he called her a ninja on the night they met. Ark of course knows what ninjas are, but revealing that would identify him as having isekai'd, so he keeps mum. Instead he says that in his home country, spies and assassins who dress like her are called ninjas. Cheon can't help but think that Ark must come from the same country as their great leader and founder who came to this kingdom 600 years ago and is now nothing short of a legend. Ark realizes that the founder of their ninja clan must have come from Japan and that he must have started his own clan after being isekai'd into this world. Ariane asks Cheon what she wants to talk to Ark about. The ninja girl's expression changes and she becomes sad as she says that she needs his help. Beastmen were now facing the same problem as elves. Humans were kidnapping, trafficking, and selling them as slaves. Cheon and other ninjas from her clan were on a mission to save them, and they were planning something big, but they needed extra power and extra hands. She desperately says that in return for their help, she will offer them all the information she has about the kidnapped elves as payment. Ark replies that he is already in a contract with the elves right now, and he needs their approval to take another job. This news saddens Cheon, then Ariane asks her if she was trained to save her people from a young age. If this was her life's duty, the ninja girl agrees, saying that this was her soul life's mission. Ariane sees the similarities in the two of them and gets a feeling of solidarity with her. She agrees to help as she knows what it's like being raised with the sole focus of saving your people. She asks Cheon to share the beast's men's plan with them, and she leads them to a secret spot in the forest. Ark questions her about their founder, wanting to know if he too was a beastman. Cheon responds that no, he was just a human from a different country named Hanzo. He used to be a spy for the Empire, but when he could no longer turn away from the injustices faced by the beast people, he vowed to help them. He took a few as students, trained them up in martial arts, and founded the Jinxin clan. Ark is shocked when he hears the full name of their leader, who just so happened to be the most famous ninja of all time, Hattori Hanzo. And now he knows for sure that he came from Japan, just as he did. For some reason, this makes him insanely jealous. Someone from our Earth was here before him, and this man left not only a great legacy behind in the form of a ninja clan, but also became a legend in his own right. Cheon notices his weird behavior, but Ariane tells her that it's okay as Ark is prone to having fits of fantasy, and it's best to let him be. They arrive at another cliff which overlooks the largest slave market in the kingdom. It's a well-guarded fortress, and they have a simple plan to attack the baddies and free the kidnapped hostages. Cheon warns them that their plan may be a bit too simple, as this fortress was the center of the slave trade, so if they were to attack it, reinforcements would be there on the double. No matter what their plan of attack may be, they would need to be Speedy Gonzalez to succeed. Her idea is that Ark and Ariane attack it as fast and as flashy as possible, and then run for their lives. Anything else would be way too dangerous. Cheon says that this mission will mostly be a distraction, as they will not be able to rescue everyone, and Ark understands that there must be another angle to her plan. The ninja beast girl confirms his suspicions and informs them that other beastmen ninjas have already positioned themselves in the rest of the city, and the plan was for them to attack 4 other slave markets simultaneously. By making the initial attack big and flashy, all attention would be drawn to the main market, and the other prisoners in the other locations would have a better chance of escape. Ariane thinks that her plan is too reckless, but Cheon is determined and ready to sacrifice herself and others if it means they can save their people. She trusts that having Ark and Ariane by her side may just help her minimize the collateral damage, but Ark says that they will help them and fight with them to the bitter end. Ninja Girl is reluctant to let them risk their lives. Luckily, Ark explains to her that he can use teleportation magic. This shocks her in all the right ways. Cheon is ecstatic and thinks that they may just be able to save everyone now. She rushes to leave to inform her comrades. Before heading off, she reminds them that the attack takes place tonight and they should prepare themselves. Then off she goes, jumping down the cliff. Ark agrees with the preparation idea, and to him that means eating. Tummies filled, they have one more thing to do. Find a crazy mask so that he attracts even more attention as their decoy. Ariane is not a fan of the idea and thinks it's ludicrous. Both her and Panta think it's a ridiculous idea. Ark loves his new look. As they agree to disagree, Cheon meets up with them and brings along another ninja, a mountain of a man named Gomen. Ark is stunned to hear that this new ninja is named after a famous ninja in Japan, and just to double check, he asks Cheon if those are their real names. She informs him that they are titles given to only the most skilled of warriors. Ark is now sure that both the ninjas were named for real ninjas from Japan. Gomen is the quiet and deadly type who gives Ark a stare down before they both suddenly start fighting each other. To anyone watching, this looks like a surprise showdown. The ladies are flabbergasted, but listen up ladies, this is how men become friends. A budding bromance is quickly formed, and the two men start laughing and complimenting each other's stamina and strength. Weird, But who are we to judge? The clock strikes 12, and the time has come for their plan to be put into action. Ariane and Cheom are to sneak in from the back entrance, while Ark and Gomen will openly attack from the front and draw as much attention as possible. The teams split, each eager to do their part. The muscular men approach the sleeping, who seem to recognize one of them as a beast man, but the strange masked creature utterly flabbergasted them. They shout stop, yet Ark and Gomen ignore them and attack in the flashiest way possible. Mr. Beast Ninja uses a form of Earth-style ninjutsu to create rock spikes on his shoulder, kind of like an earthbender, which he uses to bust open the door. Then, with Ark's assistance, they do a simultaneous attack to back up the many soldiers who came running out to face them. Ark's powerful punches knock them over as if they are toys. Gomen uses a different kind of jutsu attack, this time turning his body into steel. This breaks the weapons of the soldiers attacking him. Yeah boy, the soldiers are terrified of the monsters and recoil away in fear. This gives Ark the chance to show what he's made of. He uses one of his skills known as Rock Bullet, which is more like a rock boulder. This skill crushes the soldiers as if they were made of paper mache. To draw more attention to the front, he laughs maniacally, which terrorizes the already shell-shocked soldiers. With this ability, when he punches the ground, it cracks and rock spikes are formed. Ark is as competitive as ever and wants to outshine him, so he uses his magic to activate the ability Rock Fang, and giant rocks shaped like fangs spring out of the earth. Surprisingly, their earth magics combine, boosting each other, and the spikes sprout up like giant granite weeds, busting through everything and destroying everything above it. In the meantime, Ariane, Ponta, and Cheom are privy to the extravaganza that the guys are putting on, so rush to take advantage of the confusion caused by the destruction. They come upon a locked door, and the ninja girl quickly opens it using her lock-picking skills. They have officially snuck into the fortress. More soldiers rush the front gate. Unfortunately, a few of them spot Ponta, but before they can attack, Cheom uses water ninjutsu and transforms mere water into wild wolves that delete the soldiers in the blink of an eye. More soldiers hear the commotion and come running. Now Ariane jumps into the fight and burns them all up using her fire sword magic. Soon they find the basement where the chained-up beastmen are imprisoned. Cheom frees them, declaring that she is from the Jinxon clan and has come to save them all. Suddenly, the prisoners are filled with hope and energy. She releases them and asks the freshly freed beastmen to help her, as Ariane keeps the incoming soldiers at bay. Back at the front, both Ark and Gomen were buried under all the rubble they created. Luckily, their defense mechanisms kept them safe. They are about to go inside to assist the ladies, but they have already completed their side of the mission and inform the guys that the freshly freed beastmen are standing guard in the hall for them. Only the back building remains. Gomen bravely volunteers to stay and guard the rear. The others forge ahead. They unlock the doors, find another underground prison filled with more victims, and free them all. There's one cell that reeks to high heaven. Cheom goes inside to find out what's really good. Heartbreakingly, she sees a pile of corpses. They are her relatives. The captive beastmen tell them that all the injured and sickly ones who could not be sold were then left to evaporate in such a harsh manner. Everyone cries, even I shed a small tear. Our friend Ark is furious, but he thinks the best course of action is to get the survivors out of there as soon as possible, and when safe they'll have all the time to mourn the ones they lost. The survivors are gathered together, and Ark teleports them to safety using his ability known as Gate. With everyone safely evacuated, Cheom hears that the other missions were successful too. Yay for freedom, Ark returns to the fortress to finish what he started. He teleports himself right next to Gomen, who unbelievably is still standing despite having several injuries and massive damage. Ark says that they should wipe out these human garbage cans together, and they combine their moves yet again. Rock Fang and Earth Spear destroy the slave market. As it burns, Ariane and Cheom enjoy the show. A little later, Ark teleports back with the bodies of those who had passed on. Ariane uses her powers to cremate them, giving them a proper send-off, and as the bodies burn, their spirits are released and freed to the skies. Cheom swears to ensure that this will never happen again. Mission completed and all are safe and sound. Ark and Gomen rekindle their bromance by play fighting, while the girls commit to freeing the rest of their people from oppression and subjugation. The next day, while sailing on a gondola, the ninjas provide them with the promised information. Cheom says that the buyers of the elf slaves took them to the Holy Empire of the East. Upon hearing this, Ariane goes quiet and gets serious. She sends a voicemail bird to Danka and updates them on the new information. Once sent, she and Ark make their way to the Empire. Along the way, they stop at a desert, where a huge flock of wyverns covers the sky. These flying dino-looking dudes cause Ark to get another fit of fantasy. But Ariane is suspicious, as wyverns never travel in such large groups. Because the sky is just about filled with these dino beast birds, the voicemail bird is afraid to fly, so Ariane's message goes undelivered. That's one heck of a network error. Ark says not to worry, and that he can clear the skies of the dragon dino bird like monsters, and he jumps down from a high cliff without another word. He does a superhero landing and quickly releases an attack called Lightning Damper. Dark clouds immediately cover the sky and start releasing giant lightning bolts that hit the wyverns and everything else within range. This means that Ariane and the others also get caught in the crossfire. As Ark teleports back to them once the sky has cleared, he is shocked to see them frazzled and dazzled with their faces down and their bums up. Okay. As he tries to assist them, little does he know that a green-haired elf is secretly watching them and taking notes about them. Once everyone is back to normal, Ark and Ariane head to an inn in a town nearby. She is, understandably, still quite angry that he used such a reckless and irresponsible attack without even warning them first, but she quickly moves on as their mission is still a go. She takes out a map of the Empire and starts searching for the quickest way to their target. Unfortunately, she has an incomplete map missing important details, and the direct route is uncharted and therefore quite risky. Something else is also upsetting Ariane, and Ark asks her why she has acted so differently since hearing the location of the slaves. She explains that the trafficking of elves was legal in the Empire, making this an extra dangerous undertaking. Even a border town like this one posed a great risk to her safety. All of a sudden, the green-haired elf, who was watching them in the morning, approaches, and he is brave enough to walk around humans with his pointy ears exposed. Before he opens his mouth, Ariane grabs a pot and covers his head, telling him to hide his distinctive elven features. And yet the innkeeper and other humans treat him with kindness and respect, leaving the elf girl confused. The green-haired elf introduces himself as Karsi the biologist. He has made this town his home for the past 10 years and has good relations with everyone. Ariane doesn't believe him, even when Karsi gives her an entire speech preaching about the values of humans and elves coexisting. Sounds like a liberal social justice warrior to me. Ariane realizes that he is delusional. He argues back, wondering how she can travel with a human companion if she hates them. Argument over, Ark asks Karsi why he approached him in the first place. He says that he needs their help obtaining a monster specimen that was incredibly hard to catch. But once he saw their powerful spell this morning, he was convinced that Ark and his partner could help him achieve his goal. Ariane refuses to help, saying that they have much more important matters to deal with than monster hunting. As a reward for their services, Karsi offers a detailed map of the Empire. The reward is very tempting, and as an extra bonus, he adds a copy of his research on magical creatures, something Ark desperately wants. He begs Ariane to accept this mission, and she does. Karsi is stoked to have convinced them, and they agree to meet him at the town gate early the next day. To celebrate, Ark plays sugar daddy and pays a high price for a single room. The innkeeper feels generous and offers him a complimentary barrel of their highest quality strong drink. As Ariane contemplates humans and elves coexisting peacefully, Ark opens the barrel and offers her a glass, cheekily asking if she is old enough to drink. Cheeky boy. She's hundreds of years old. The elf warrior in her activates, and she gulps down the glass. She enjoys the drink so much that she immediately starts blushing and her ears start twitching. That's weird. Ark joins her only to discover that the drink is super strong and super yum. It is so strong that Ariane is wasted after her second glass and literally jumps Ark's bones. Poor guy, he's all mixed up and confused by her actions, wondering what she wants to do. Does she want him or the delicious drink? There's no clear answer. Instead, she shakes his bonehead and slams him down for the rest of the night. Early the next morning, she awakes with a hangover. As she looks around the tattered room, she sees Ark on the floor without his armor, bone naked. She blasts him before he can get a word in. Once things have calmed down, they go to check out, and the innkeeper tells them she could hear heavy bone banging sounds coming from their room all night long. How embarrassing. They finally meet up with Karsi and apologize for being late. He says with a wink that he understands why they woke up late, as their night must have been very intense. Off they go to hunt the monster. Karsi and one of his human friends are driving the carriages. Poor Ariane, her hangover combined with motion sickness, plus the horribly disgusting smell of decomposing goblin that were to be used as bait, has her looking green as a goblin herself. Karsi says the corpses are the perfect bait to catch the sandworms. He so desperately wants to study. Karsi's friend and co-driver makes a special tea to help Ariane with her nausea, and even though humans make her uncomfortable and are untrustworthy, the tea does help. Ark chats to Karsi and learns more about these sandworm creatures they were expected to hunt down. It is a 7 to 8 foot long creature that supposedly only comes out at night and scavenges dead animals or beings. Its weakness was fire, but Karsi asked him not to refrain from using that as he wanted the specimen alive. Sounds safe, not. Karsi confirms that the sandworms have recently been trying to attack the flock of wyverns, the giant dino birdies, and as the two men continue their chat, Ariane looks behind them only to see the cart with goblins and the human driver missing. As she is about to warn Ark, a giant sandworm appears, and surprise, surprise, it's more than 70 feet long. Karsi is shocked upon seeing the gigantic worm monster and excitedly says that it is the most significant creepy crawly he has ever seen. Karsi's human friend is lying hurt on the ground with his wagon destroyed. The sandworm spots him and, thinking he must be another tasty treat, goes in to munch on him. Ariane jumps into help mode and uses a fire blast on the enormous monstrosity. Despite Karsi's warning that fire is his weakness, the attack has zero effect on the sandworm, and he turns to attack her instead. Bang, crash. She's almost wiped off the earth. Luckily, Ark's wick thinking saves her, and he restrains the ginormous sandworm with a single bony hand. He takes over and goes WWE on the worm. He applies his overpowered strength to pull the sandworm out of its lair and crashes it to the side. The sandworm's spirit leaves its body, and when it's too late, Ark notices that it too has that strange red and black ring. A group of villagers drag the monster back to their town, and Karsi rewards Ark and Ariane with the map and the book as promised. Before leaving to continue their journey, Ariane asks the biologist why he chooses to live with humanity, and he says that he likes them. Yes, he truly is Delulu. He says that he too had negative stereotypes of all humans when he used to live in an elf village. But once he lived among them and got to know them, he found they were not as bad as he had assumed, and that they could exist together peacefully. Maybe in the future, both races could become friends. He also had heard the news about a noble man and an elf girl falling in love, and eventually getting married. Cheers to race mixing. Ariane is stupefied and stares in disbelief. She asks Ark his opinion, and he says that good and bad folks exist in both species. And while it may not be possible for everyone to peacefully coexist, some might become good friends with time. Finally, they reach the place where the kidnapped elves are held captive. Unfortunately, it's a military town, and it's locked up extra tight. They come to the conclusion that it's best for them to be extremely careful and concise. They decide to split up to see what info they can find on their own. Ark hears strange cries coming from the fortress at night. Talk around town is that several people have recently also gone missing. Unfortunately, no one knew anything about the elves. On his way back to Ariane, he hears a woman screaming for help while random thugs try to kidnap her. Ark pops up behind one of them and twists his wrist till he hears a lovely cracking sound. The other thugs rush over to attack Ark, but he knocks them out cold with a simple flick of his fingers. "Good night, boys." The woman is more than grateful and runs to hug him as her way of showing gratitude. Coincidentally, Ariane rocks up at that exact moment. Jealousy clouds her mind, and even though Ark tries to explain the situation to her, it's to no avail. She commands the girl to run home as fast as she can while she stares at her intensely. Her jealousy makes her behave coldly towards Ark, but she does share that she found helpful intelligence. She takes him to cliff high in the hills. From up there, they see another fortress, and her sources tell her that the elves have been held there for 4 months already. Ark fears that they may be too late, as 4 months is a long time. But Ariane remains hopeful. They head closer to the fortress to check it out. They sneak in, and it's eerily empty and much too quiet. Ariane spots a hidden door with hidden stairs that lead to an underground warehouse that smelled of wild animals. Ponta distracts the guards at the gate, and Ark uses Karate Chop to knock them out. Ariane then uses all her strength to force it open, but fails miserably as it is a sliding door and she is pushing it. Down there are many prison cells yet, and all of them are empty except for bones, fur, and a terrible stench. Soon they come upon the next gate. Ark opens it to find a massive underground cave system supported by hundreds of pillars. Soon an arrogant and sadistic monster tamer called Fumba makes his appearance. He says that he is in charge. The moment he lays eyes on Ariane, he claims her. Chill bro. Owning women is so 1884. He says that she belongs to him now. He then immediately orders her to kill Ark. Without hesitation, Ariane complies and attacks without pause, even as Ark tries to shake her out of it. He demands to know what Fumba did to his friend. While he tries to get a response, the elf warrior picks him up and slams him down. Something clicks in Ark, and he realizes this must be some kind of control curse. He uses his anti-curse spells on her to no avail. Ariane keeps attacking him. Her consciousness has been stolen, and in her mind, she finds herself with her sister, who lets her know that she is much too weak and needs to train harder. She commands her to fight in the dream as Ariane fights with Ark in reality. He keeps using magic on her and she keeps attacking him. Ark comes to the realization that his spells may be working, but something else has control over Ariane. He is sure that the monster tamer is incapable of doing it himself and spots a pair of glowing eyes hidden in her hoodie. Ponta to the rescue as the pup jumps into Ariane's hood and takes down an imp, a tiny monster who can use powerful illusionary magic. Ponta throws it out and Ark deletes it using a flame spell as Ariane quickly loses consciousness. Ark's knowledge and tactical thinking impresses Fumba, so he steps forward and introduces himself properly. letting Ark know that he is from a clan of monster tamers and is by far the most skilled. He left them all behind in his search for fame and glory. He also brags that he has the capabilities to tame any and all monsters. Ark believes him as he sees the black and red rings in his hand and comes to the realization that Fumba is the person behind Toadzilla, the haunted wolves, and even the giant sandworm. Fumba prepares to fight him and summons his guard, a gigantic white tiger, and tells Ark it's time to turn into chopped liver and be his dinner. Ark calmly lays Ariane to rest at a safe distance, and before the fight can begin, he says he has a single question for the monster tamer. He asks what happened to the kidnapped elves that were brought there about 4 months ago. This makes Fumba laugh, and he says that most of them were used by the Empire for experimentation, and the rest that were left with him were fed to his monsters after he had tired of using them for other purposes. He mocks them and their suffering at his hands, which infuriates Ark. With one slash, he ends the giant tiger. Chop, chop. Cursing Fumba, Ark states that he has seen all kinds of evil villains in his short journey on their lands, but none as vicious and cruel as Fumba. The monster tamer was simply put the worst of the worst. Fumba finds this hilarious and taunts him that he is much too prideful and would still need to eliminate many more monsters before he has a chance of getting to him. He summons the rest of his enslaved monsters by using his whip, and they include all kinds of beasts that Ark has never seen before. Fumba commands and they attack Ark, but he simply slashes through them one by one. Fumba keeps commanding the beasts to attack, this time from all sides, and Ark keeps dicing and slicing them. Caught up in the action, he completely forgets to ensure Ariane's safety and starts to panic when Fumba draws his attention towards the giant ogre that was about to turn her into an elven pancake. Just as he is about to smash her, the ninja girl Cheon jumps into the fray and traps the monsters in a cage made of water. Fumba arrogantly says that even his backup is useless against his army of monsters. Cheon bursts his bubble by letting him know that he no longer has any monsters under his control. Goman and the members of their clan were inside the base, and they had eliminated the rest of his monsters. Ark wants to know how she got there, and she informs him that she was the one who had told Ariane all about this place. While Ariane, in her jealous mood, had not shared that with him, they are interrupted by an earth-shattering quake. This brings Fumba so much joy as he says that they are about to meet his trump card. He tells Ark that his masterpiece is on its way to take care of them. He quickly exits the building, and as Ark is about to chase after him, the pillars and boulders start falling around them. Cheon calls after him that Ariane's safety is their first priority. Ark agrees and teleports them outside. Flying through the air, he looks down and sees a huge crack in the castle's side. He spots a powerful and fearsome monster emerging from the smoke and rubble. A Hydra, Hail Hydra, the strongest water-type monster in existence, who masters its aqua element and has a super powerful regeneration ability. Ark gets closer and notices that the Hydra has 5 of those mind control rings attached to it, one for each of its 5 heads. Cheon says that the Hydra used to be known as a nation destroyer, and she struggles to believe a mere human could tame or control it. She suggests that they retreat to safety, but the Hydra spots them and uses a powerful Hydra Blast attack, which completely crumbles the cliff they were standing on. This pleases Fumba greatly, and he thinks his enemies are finally eliminated. He laughs like a lunatic who has early release from an insane asylum, saying that this is his true power. See him and tremble. He wishes he could show his village elders who and what he had become. They had always found him to be weak and undisciplined, and never acknowledged his talents. Shout out to childhood trauma impacting your adult life. Fumba ran away from his clan and joined up with the Emperor of the Holy Empire, who employed him to bring destruction upon the neighboring kingdom. Now with the Hydra's power under his control, he sees himself invincible and almost immortal. He commands the Hydra to attack and feast on the people living in the city. Ark and his group are entombed under the rocks, but thanks to the shield, they are protected and survive the attack. When he looks around and does not see Ariane, he panics. Luckily, he turns back and sees her covered with a dark energy as she fiercely tells him that she was conscious while Fumba was controlling her, meaning she heard everything he said about her and her people. Her mission now was to find him and make him suffer. Chaim agrees, acknowledging that with the Hydra as his puppet, Fumba was far too great a threat to be left to his own devices. They also correctly assume that he assumes that they have left this life, giving them the perfect opportunity to strike him down. Surprise Muthasuka. They head off to find him. Ark stays behind and says that someone will have to stop the Hydra. Chiam reminds him that this monster is a literal force of nature that wipes countries off the map. Ark disagrees. He says that unlike natural disasters, the Hydra can be sent to play harps in the sky. The ninja girl says he must be joking, while Ariane tells him to go off and do his best to handle the monster while they handle his tamer. Ariane and Cheom run towards Fumba and surprise Sukka him with a firebolt attack, which he dodges just in time. Ariane warns him that she is going to take his life in exchange for the many elves he tortured and abused. He seems unperturbed and says that she is powerless against him. He reminds her that he has the Hydra at his beck and call, and the elf warrior reminds him that although the Hydra may be strong, he is weak and is using the Hydra to hide his weakness. Those words cut deeper than any knife, as they are the same words his village elders told him many years ago. Fumba snaps. He screams that he will excommunicate everyone on Earth, and then they'll know his power. Ariane attacks him without waiting to hear the rest of his narcissistic speech. He blocks her attack and tries to use his imps to control her mind again, but she slices and dices those little critters, telling him he won't trick her twice. Fumba starts to lose it, and he attempts to order the Hydra to help him, but Cheom throws her ninja knives at his back, cutting him up nicely and ruining his pretty tattoo. She comments that she noticed he was using his complex curse markings to control the monsters, but the slightest disfigurement would make them useless, and now he is no longer the puppet master. Fumba starts losing his mind, and his loony laugh is louder than ever. He tells the women that he is no longer responsible for what the Hydra does next. His words scared Cheom, but Ariane tells her that as long as Ark is alive, he will stop the monster. She charges her sword with red-hot fire and walks towards the now frightened Fumba, who tries to stop her with his whip, but it turns to ash, and he starts apologizing for hurting the elves. Ariane tells him to shove his apology, or he could keep it and give it to the ones he eliminated, as he was going to be seeing them soon. She speaks calm and collected. She then activates her most powerful spell and burns Fumba in flames of blue till nothing remains, burning him out of existence. Back to the Hydra, who is walking through the forest, crushing trees under its feet as if they were twigs. It aims its powerful Hydra blast at the city, which Ark tries to stop using his Wyvern Slash attack, but this has zero effect on the Hydra, who then turns all its heads towards him, gives him a monster side eye, and tries to bite a chunk out of him using its tremendous force. Luckily, Ark dodges the bite attack and uses his skill called Shield Bash to unbalance the beast as the Hydra heads swing back one after the other. Dizzying stuff. Then Ark teleports himself high in the sky and attacks one of its long necks with a pro wrestling move, which has zero effect, and the monster remains unharmed. It retaliates with 3 hydroblasts, which he dodges using his Dimension Walk skill, but one of the heads managed to bite him. Then 3 more heads charge a hydroblast attack, and Ark realizes they were sacrificing one head to be able to liquidate him for sure. Sorry, Hydra, but that attack also fails as his shield protects him from all damage, and there goes the head. Ark then uses one of his ultimate skills, known as Judgment. He goes full power and uses it to summon a giant lightning sword from the sky that chops off 3 of the Hydra's heads at the freaking time. With just 1 head remaining, the monster uses regeneration and starts to regrow the ones he lost. Ark can't help but be impressed by this mythical beast. He backs up a distance to prepare his final move. Ark teleports to a cliff and uses a grand magic that he has never used before. This would take all his strength to perform and leave him exhausted afterwards. This overpowered skill could only be used for a short time period, but that was all he needed to erase the Hydra. Ark creates a giant magic circle, and using all his available power, he summons the infernal demon called Ifrit. As the giant fire demon emerges from the portal, the Hydra is fully healed and finds itself facing an equal opponent. They rush each other, and the demon snaps the monster's heads with its bare fists and crushes its jaw when it attempts to use its Hydra blast. He punches and bites the Hydra, destroying the rings in the process. Hydra is now free of Fumba's control and tries to make a run for it as it realizes it is outmatched, but Ark decides to tag team it and jumps down on it from the sky and swings it around by the tail with all his strength before throwing it as far as his strength allowed. Then he commands Ifrit to use its ultimate skill, Flame Hellion, and a bright pillar of fire that could be seen halfway across the world shoots out Ifrit's mouth, burning the Hydra into dust. Ariane and Cheom are stunned into silence watching the fight between 2 mythological monsters. As the sun rises, Ark returns to them and mentions that he is glad to find them safe. They ask him about the giant fire demon chilling in the background, and he says not to worry as it is a being summoned from another dimension and will return to its own home in few. A bit later, Ariane receives a voicemail bird from Danka delivering them surprisingly good news. Princess Uriana of the Rodent Kingdom had met with the elders of the elves, and her kingdom took responsibility for their humans breaking the peace accord and kidnapping and trafficking the elves. She had promised to search for the missing elves and return them to their rightful homes. She also made her own treaty with the Elven Elders. She informed the Elders that her 2 older brothers had tried to assassinate her and were supported by the Eastern and Western empires, both of which were hateful, evil countries who believed in enslavement. So to prevent either of them from becoming kings and thereby worsening relations between humans and elves and beast men, she wanted to be crowned queen. She promised the elf elders that if they supported her claim to the throne, she would fight for them and alongside them in case the holy empires were ever to invade them. The elders gladly accept the new treaty, and the princess told them that they will all work together to build a world where humans and elves can coexist peacefully. Despite the positive news, Ariane is greatly annoyed and goes through a mini crisis as her sole purpose, to protect her people, is taken away from her. Now that the humans are going to help the elves in search for the kidnapped elves, she is surprised that humans could even treat elves this way. Then she remembers what Karsi told her, and Ark says that the time of peaceful coexistence was happening sooner than they had imagined. Ariane replies that ever since she ran into Ark, it seemed as if the world was changing around him, and because of him, he laughs. He comments that with their big mission being over, he can now go back to living a quiet life, filled with simple quests. Neither girl believes him. Laughing, he takes off his helmet, and poor Cheon, who had no idea about his bony body and had no warning either, is petrified with fear. He hides behind a tree and waits for her to calm down as Ariane explains the whole cursed situation. After getting Cheon the deets on the reason for Ark's bony bum, she then asks Ark to come to her home, and maybe after some rest and relaxation they can travel to the Lord's Crown, where he can finally, hopefully break his skeleton curse. He agrees, and off they go. This is the amazing, magic and monster-filled journey of our hero Ark. He came to lead a quiet and gentle life, but life is funny like that. The most unexpected things can occur in a split second. Instead of peace and quiet, our hero has fought many battles and made many friends. From elf warriors to beastmen ninjas to everything in between. He has no clue why he isekai to this world, but that no longer matters. He's just happy to live in the moment and enjoy his bony life, no matter where it may take him. I think our hero's adventurous life is just getting started. We wish him the best and hope that he gets to lift his curse and build the life he has dreamed of.